Today is Thursday, November the 27th. It's Thanksgiving. We're pre-recording this though because even though it is Thursday,
I never knew it was coming. It still cracks me up. Sorry.
you told me to do it, right? Even though it's Thursday, it's Thanksgiving, we're enjoying time with our families, and so but we wanted to make sure you still have the opportunity to just engage with things with us, and so whether you're watching this on Thursday or Friday, or whether you're watching on Saturday, whatever day you watch this, we hope that you have an awesome opportunity to not only celebrate Thanksgiving with your family, but also to wrestle through the things that God has been teaching you this week, because we don't want to, even on holidays, we don't want to push pause to those things. We want to make sure that we take the moments God has given us to wrestle through things.
Well, and it's part of why our church never dismisses. We never pause. We never stop. We always advance, even holidays, whatever, sending, right?
Yeah. So hopefully you take 5-10 minutes to kind of work through some of these questions. You had helped me kind of write some questions for the weekend to go along with my sermon, and you put it into the sermon notes. So if you have a chance, go look those up. This last weekend, I got to talk about Elijah, but you got to learn and hear from a different state.
I did. I was off in Georgia, in Atlanta, at an international conference on missions. Had a great time. And so I actually watched and listened to your sermon in an airport at about 9 o'clock at night in Atlanta. Yeah.
So before we answer the questions together, I was just curious. You didn't know I was going to ask this, so there we go. We're about to do this. They all heard my thoughts this weekend, all weekend. Yes. But I know that because you're a senior minister around here, you're also leading. I'm just curious, what are some takeaways from this weekend that you really hit home with you and maybe your wife and just life in general that you thought, man, this is really cool what God did here?
With your message, right?
Yeah.
With all the, So I'm trying to think what you... I'm trying to think what you said.
It shows you how much we pay attention to whoever's preaching, right?
Everything blends together. So one thing you talked about, Elijah running to the cave and being there, God's voice and the fear that was there, and letting God be bigger than the fear and all this stuff. And the one thing when I read this passage that always just sticks out to me is the way God communicated, right? It was not the booming of the earthquake, it was not the rushing of the wind or the fire, it wasn't the whole thing, it was just this little whisper right in it. And it reminds me that we actually find confidence and stability and hope and just a foundation to stand on. We find those in the little moments. We're a culture that jumps to big things.
Yep, we do.
We love the big things. We love to sensationalize and dramatize everything, and everything's big and it's huge. Whoa! And it's all it's just the whole thing, and it's all that all the time, and all this stuff, right? But we find what we need from God in the little moments when we join with other believers and we listen, and when we meet with our oikostas, and when we go through rhythms and routines of spiritual disciplines. That's where we hear God speak to us.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to talk about it too much this weekend just because of all the other stuff we were talking about, but a couple of years ago I read a really cool book called Whisper by Mark Batterson. He's also another pastor and teacher of God's Word, and he was just talking about this whole passage. And in this, he just talks about this really cool thing that, especially now that he's a dad and he has kids, he's like, when I whisper to my kids, it's because I want them to lean in, Yeah. And it's just this really cool visual aid to me that he's like, as a coach or whatever, you yell, you're trying to get their attention and you're like, oh, that person's yelling at me. But when you're a parent and you start to whisper, you watch your kids go and lean into it because you want a closeness with them. Yeah. And he said it was just really cool as a dad just thinking through this moment with Elijah. Spiritually, God is his father in heaven. And he's saying, hey, son, lean in. I want you to listen to me.
Yeah.
Be reminded of what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, I just, because God does communicate this way, I watch communicators and I try to learn from them. And at this conference I was at in Atlanta, that one of the speakers that was there was speaking just about his mission, about what God's been doing in their life. And he was loud. I mean, he was a loud guy. And then he got real quiet for a little while, just kind of talk like this right here. And you watch the room, thousands of people in the room just kind of all together to listen better, right? And I picture when God does that to us, like the book you're talking about, when God speaks, there's all of creation leans in together. That's a beautiful moment, isn't it? And then in Revelation, we see the creation surrounding the Father. Holy, holy, holy is the one who is and or was and is to come. And we just lean in to hear him speak. And that's our purpose,
Yeah.
is to lean into God.
And I think God does it for another thing. I know it's not one of the questions, but it's something I've just been thinking about, is that God not only whispers to have you lean in. I think we all do this because I notice this too. Like when other people around us are whispering, we also have a tendency to go,
Oh, absolutely.
right? And it makes other people want to listen too.
Yeah.
And so I think God intentionally does this because God knows that this is going to be written down in a whispered moment. And I know physically people aren't there, but I think mentally it gets people to go,
Oh,
what are you saying, God? What are you whispering to Elijah?
we are natural eavesdroppers, right? If someone's whispering, we're leaning an ear toward them, and
Like, sure enough.
and God does say He will draw people to Himself, right? And this is one of the ways He does that.
Yeah, he's a great communicator.
He really is.
He's so good at that. So I just want to wrestle through one question and kind of three parts to that question. We talked about this cave. Elijah ran into a cave, and in our own lives, we have caves of fear and instability and these worries that really paralyze us and they hold us down. So I'm just curious, what cave do you tend to run to when life feels too heavy?
What are some options for that?
Yeah, and so like over the weekend, I talked about a little bit like paralyzation is it, and what I mean by that is like not only you just paralyzed. Like I had a foster kid once, who we talked about fight, flight, or freeze, and I had foster kids who had all of them, and I feel like in our caves we do those things. We fight God, we run from God, or we freeze. And I also had a kid who just literally shut down. You could see it in his eyes, like he was no longer there. I mean, and you knew him, and it was weird to see. But I think sometimes, like for me and my depression and me and the things I struggle with, that's what I physically and emotionally do when life feels like it's too much. I kind of just shut down.
Yeah.
And people in my life have to go, hey Keenan, hey Keenan, and I'm like, what? Like that's how I respond when life feels too heavy. I shut down.
Yeah. I withdraw from people. I isolate a little bit. My wife's constantly telling me, in fact, when she watches this, I'm sure she'll comment on it to me, that I have a bit of a hero complex even, right? Like I'll fix it. I'll take care of it. So when life gets too much, what I do is I withdraw from other people, isolate myself, I throw the weight of everything on my shoulders, and I try to push through myself.
Is that fair to say then, if we're going through like the phases of life, like fight, flight, or freeze, that you're a flight or a runner? You're running away from people, but you're taking the problems with you.
Yeah, and I just carry it with me so that the people I love don't have to deal with the stress that's on me, and the people that I'm caring for is protecting what's on me, and this is ideal stuff all the time, and it's not healthy. I'll tell you that right now. And I'm learning to trust you and to trust elders and people around me, and hand things off and do that. But it's my natural tendency.
Well, and none of this is healthy. I mean, but none of it, whether it's freezing or fighting or running, none of these things that we do are healthy, which is why this weekend I talked about how fear wants us to do these things, but God wants us to let go of these things, right? And I think we have to acknowledge, though, which one we're fighting, which one is winning in our lives, because I can't get rid of it if I don't acknowledge its presence.
You're right.
And so even for you, let's say I have a tendency to do this, but now that I know I have a tendency to do this, I can watch for it. I can actually ask others to help me watch for it. I've done that with you in our lives. Like we know there's certain times of the year that my depression gets a lot worse, and you check in on me a lot more. Like, hey, I noticed you seem to be doing this week. Just remember, it's this time of year. It's not because life is actually terrible. I need reminders at work and at home and other places that life is not as bad as I perceive it to be. And I talked about it this past weekend, that fear makes the thing, it magnifies the thing in front of us and makes it worse than it actually is.
That's right.
And we have a tendency to do that.
Yeah.
Is your cave more, I guess we already talked about this, is your cave more emotional, like shutting down, relational, isolating, or behavioral? And we've already talked about those things. How has hiding made life feel safer, but it's actually made life harder?
Well, I mean, it feels safer, I think, because people around me, I perceive I'm protecting them, but it's harder for me, right? There was a time, you know this in my life, when how many years ago now? 3, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I was sick all the time, right?
4 years ago.
Do you remember that? Remember, well, I mean, like daily, physically sick every day for 6 to 8 months long, and not everybody knew that. They do now, but it came down to it was ulcers and stress induced things and all this. I mean, life got harder because I didn't allow people to carry burdens that God wanted them to carry too.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm struggling to find like a tangible one, but like I think of this. I just thought like I have a friend who is struggling with some decisions in life right now because this person, they'll get bills or they'll get this and they'll just throw it into a pile to deal with later. But the bills don't go away. But in the moment, it seems good, right? Because I don't have bills in front of me. I took care of them. But all of a sudden, all those things are due.
Yeah,
right?
They all come due.
They all, and it makes it actually harder in the long run than if I would have just dealt with little things along the way. Spiritually, the same thing happens to us, though, right?
Yeah.
We are holding on to things instead of dealing with the thing that's in front of us, we toss it into a deal with it later pile, and all of a sudden they're all due.
Yeah.
And we have to learn, like you talked about, I have to learn to surround myself with people who can say, nope, we're gonna deal with this bill.
Yep.
We're gonna deal with the receipts on this thing in our culture. The receipts on this thing are due now, right? Let's deal with it now. Lastly, what would it look like for God to meet you exactly in that cave this week?
So this week, I mean, this is today's Thanksgiving, right? We're watching this on. Many of us, we gather with family. Maybe you had a Friendsgiving already. Maybe you do one soon. Maybe you have the day off work. You're spending time resting a little bit. I think that maybe we could redeem this day. As much as I love football, right? We're Chiefs fans, right?
Yep.
As much as we love football, we can maybe redeem the day a little better than that even. Maybe by having a conversation with people in our life, the family, the friends around us, and saying, hey, I need some help with this. Maybe by taking some time and spend time in the Word with God and saying, God, I need you to whisper to me today. Maybe instead of working, exhausting myself today, I just need to rest in the Lord a little bit. It might be that this week here is the moment that God reaches in as you just pause, the pause thing, your normal rhythm, today, tomorrow, this weekend, and God says, it's time for a new start. And just like he told Elijah on the mountain, you go off and you're going to do some things now. Maybe he looks at you and says, hey, you know what, going to next week, let's start different together. And so these days be a refuge in the Lord.
I would agree with that. I think I have a tendency in my life that I think the reason why I run towards burnout or I run especially towards depression is I naturally just go all the time. I've had people, you guys, some of you watching this, have teased that around church, like, man, Keen, you're like the Energizer Bunny. You're always keep going. You know, the problem is with the Energizer Bunny, though, at some point, the batteries get depleted. And I crash hard. And I think how God meets me, he meets similar to Elijah, where, Keenan, go take a nap. Keenan, go rest with your family. Keenan, that's not your problem to worry about. Actually, I have a tendency to do that to the point where you've done this to me in the last few weeks. I'll walk into your office. I'm like, what about this? What about this? You're like, Keenan, I'm glad that you see those things.
Yeah.
Because those aren't your problems to deal with.
Feels like a racist thing is going on. That's right.
But it's how God meets us, right? God meets us and he uses people to remind us, you're right, this is a problem, but it's not your problem to deal with. You're right, this is a thing, but it's not your thing to deal with. You need to go take care of your things. And sometimes I go to you and like, but my things are taken care of.
Ironically, I tell you that, but I don't tell myself that.
That's why we need each other, right?
That's right.
But because of that, though, I mean, I think there's some times in my life where I go through all the problems I have, and I've dealt with them, and then I have a tendency to jump into other people's problems, where actually that's part of the rest. Because you dealt with the things, it's time to rest. It's okay to pause. It's okay to be like, well, I dealt with my problems, and instead of being frustrated at other people's, it's time for them to deal with their problems too. So we all have things. We all have things to wrestle with and deal with. And I hope you guys had a great weekend with me. I know I really enjoyed preaching through this message. A lot of you have actually messaged me personally, and I got to talk to you, and you were like, man, it really hit home, or I just needed to hear this. Just please so you know, I did too. Like, and as I was preparing this message, I felt God saying, hey, what are you doing here, Keenan? Just like you did with Elijah. Hey, what are you doing here, Elijah? And I was excited just to share from my heart what God has been teaching me this week. this coming weekend, we're wrapping up this series. We're going to be talking about not Elijah only, but Elisha with a SHA.
Which gets confusing sometimes.
It does.
It does. But it's Elijah's next step, which leads to Elisha's first step. And we see God perpetuate the mission of his kingdom.
So make sure you join us this weekend on Saturday night at North Heights at 6 o'clock, or at our Carl Junction campus at 8, 9:30, or 11, or online at 9:30. Church, as always, until we see you again, you are sent. Have a great day.